Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mind of Simri. Tonight, we are going to be talking about a very special story. It is called Saga of a Philosophical Writer and Poet, Romance Lost, Heaven Bound, and All That Mixes in the Middle of Sound. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a long one, and it is quite the saga. But if you like stories, especially ones that have amazing arcs of love and tragedy, loss and overcoming, this one's for you. There was once a girl named Essa. She was so smart. She was brilliant and poetic, and she could write unlike most people could ever imagine at a very young age. She had a command of language and vocabulary that was unmatched by most of her peers. And her love of writing and reading and storytelling was one of the primary motivators in her life. Essa was quite established in this, but she didn't like to tell many people about it. She was afraid of what they might think if they read those wonderful poems and endless lines that she just seemed to never cease to create. So this eventually brought her into a space, a writing community, where she learned about others who were like her and so many other things and words that she had not known before, and encountered a person who strangely possessed the same intellect, philosophy, and mirrored her poetic finesse, Jace. Now, I want you to understand as I tell you the story of Essa and Jace that the names have been changed to protect identities and to honor an archive. But the intention of the story is to affirm the truth, seal a loop, and never allow misuse of energy again. As the saying goes, release all the things that no longer serve you. And so, Essa and Jace became part of a group where they encountered someone named Justin, Ty. Well, I take that back. Ty came in with Jace. They were brothers, actual brothers. And Essa was a part of this group, and they called themselves Banes. It was just kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. All of them were very eccentric, improv, role player, cosplayer types. And so Essa and Jace were part of this group, and there they met Joe and Maya and Justin and Kaya, who later in the story became Jace's girlfriend. Now, Jace and Essa were friends, and they had many conversations, and their poetic prose and interactions were a metrophiliac's dream. In addition to the fact that Essa learned about Jace's masochism, and so many things that he did began to make sense. In some cases, she could see that he was quite magnetic. But there were often times whenever he made it very clear when he would say, "Well, you think I'm so great, but I'm quite the a-hole. Don't ever forget, I can be a prick." In time, Essa got to see this. Because when Jace introduced her to Justin, little did he know that his girlfriend Kaya had actually wanted to date Justin. She was trying to get Jace interested in being ethically non-monogamous and to possibly form a polycule, which she wanted Essa to join because Jace was truly quite attracted to Essa. Well, Essa had always had feelings for Jace, but the complications surrounding Kaya and his very toxic dynamic with her did not sit well with Essa's spirit. She did not want to be a part of this ethical non-monogamy polycule because it seemed to her that Kaya wasn't quite forthcoming or honest, which later proved to be true. Then there was a huge argument Kaya decided to confront Essa, all angry and upset because Justin had chosen not to opt into the polycule and was no longer going to be engaging in any kind of flirting or extracurricular activity with her. This upset her greatly. And so she confronted Essa, and Essa held her ground, informing her that Jace was her boyfriend and that she did not need to worry about Justin any longer because he was now dating Essa, and that they had made a decision together on their own consensual basis to be together, and that she needed to go back and mind her own business and get in the hell in her own lane with Jace where she had been left. Jace was young. This is important to note. Jace and Kaya were 19. Justin was 21. And Essa was 23. Essa was the oldest, although it is important to note that Justin lied about his age by 2 years and led her to believe that he was 23 as well instead of 21, a fact that later contributed to the relationship between Justin and Essa ending after nearly 6 years of marriage and having a child. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So, now that you have a little bit, this is the basic breakdown. Act 1, the beginning, 2008, when Essa met Jace and their poetic volley began. This was when the early signs of spiritual mirroring and emotional withholding really began to show themselves. And the problem was that this time, Essa was not a very strong young woman. She had a lot in her background that she had been exposed to toxicity, abuse every time. Essa, emotional, spiritual, physical, mental, she experienced it. Isolation and alienation from family members who meant a lot to her, including her father, she experienced it. And so all these things added to some need for therapy for her. She could be reactionary at times. And so Jace informed her that she needed to work on something called composure. This was a very important and pivotal moment in Essa's life, and it was from this moment that later other things stemmed and continued. So then Essa and Justin did get married, and they thought that they were going to be happy. But as time went on, Essa learned that Justin was not quite as forthcoming and lied about a lot, including his age, and many, many other things that eventually led to him committing infidelity and choosing to continually fumble his relationship and responsibilities as a father and a husband until Essa decided that she had to leave because she was going to college and she was trying to finalize getting her degree so she could make a better life for her and her children. And so Essa did so, and Jace happened to still be on Essa's Facebook social media friend list. And this is interesting because even after all of those things and his relationship with Kaya dissolved because it was found out that she truly was a cheater, and everything she had ever warned Jace about, Essa that is, had come out to be true about Kaya. And this sort of started something possibly on the side of Jace that will be held in to the side for you guys to side note on later. But moving forward, one day, Essa, she met someone whose name was Benton. Benton was quite an interesting young man. Benton, at this point, Benton was 29 and Essa was 30 years old. And it's important to note, like I said, that Jace was a bit younger than Essa, so by this time he was around 25 years of age. And they had been friends since 2008, and this was 2014. In 2014, towards the end of the year, Essa and Justin separated, and a few months afterwards, at the beginning of the next year, 2015, Essa started dating Benton, and she finally put it on her Facebook relationship status. Well, Jace reacted in a way that was absolutely immature as could be. He immediately commented and said, "This is the biggest mistake of your life." Well, Benton's seen this. And Benton was not a controlling type, but this was the relationship status announcement that he was going to be dating Essa, and everyone's seen it. And the first and only comment on it, after so many had reacted with heart emojis or hugging ones or whatever, in support, was from Jace informing Essa that she had made the biggest mistake of her life by choosing to date Benton. And so you see, Benton was very upset when he seen this naturally. And so he went directly to Essa and he confronted her and he said, "What the is this? Who is this guy?" Immediately, Essa, of course, admitted that this was her friend, Jace, who had introduced her to her ex-husband, Justin, and that he was the father of her son. Not Jace, but Justin. And that all of these people were just a part of her life that led to her marrying Justin and meeting him and having her son. And he said, "So is he not that important?" And of course, Essa told Benton that Jace was important and he had been a dear friend, but she agreed with him that what he said was disrespectful and out of line. And Benton said, "I don't feel comfortable with this man being involved in your life after what he has said about our relationship and his behavior. I think that you need to cut him off your friends list." And remember, Benton was not a jealous or a isolating and controlling man. So it was not an issue with Essa having male friends, which she had many. It was the driving out of one's lane and inserting their nose into one's business on Facebook social media about Essa's grown adult decisions to date a man when she was 30 years old that was in the same state and present there with her. And so she did unfriend Jace without a word. She did not say anything to him. She removed him and she did not speak to him again, anywhere, for 6 whole years. Well, speed it up. It's COVID year. And this is where Act 2 begins. So, it's COVID year. And Essa and Benton's relationship terminates on Valentine's Day. This forces Essa into a very bad situation with her children, and she is instantly made homeless. Nevertheless, she finds a way to make it and survive and thrive, and she goes to stay with some family members. And then a few months go by, and she begins to think about Jace all the time. For some reason, Jace is always on her mind. Perhaps it was because of the quarantine, the pandemic of COVID. But nevertheless, Essa cannot stop thinking about Jace. It's like something just has him on her mind. And Essa's a very discerning, clairvoyant, intuitive person. And she's spiritual and she believes in universal signs. And so eventually she decides to listen to her intuition, and she goes and she looks him up on Facebook and she sees that he's posting here and there, but it doesn't seem like he posts that often. She doesn't say anything because she feels hesitant, like maybe she shouldn't reach out because of the way that the friendship ended before. But something makes her think, well, maybe I should reach out, because he did say this was the worst mistake that she was going to make in her life, and it turned out to be. So a few more months go by and she does not reach out, but eventually she gets back on a website where some of the people that were in that original friend group were still there. And evidently, some still remembered the fondness and the bond that Jace and Essa used to share. In fact, obviously, it was so clear that their bond was known that one of the people, which was later found to be Joe, decided that he was going to pretend to be Jace and approach Essa to catfish her, to try to sexploit her, in an effort to be toxic and sexploit her, as I explained. And so, after a while, things began to get a little fishy when this person, parading as Jace, refused to get on a video call or a phone call or FaceTime or anything just to talk to Essa, when that was something he had no problem doing in their history before. And so eventually Essa decided to get the courage to DM Jace on Facebook, and he did not respond. Weeks went by and he did not respond. Well, she paid attention again, looking at his page, wondering, why is he not responding? I need to know what's going on here. And so she sees that he has a YouTube channel and he's been posting music on it. So she goes to check it out. Sure enough, it's actually pretty decent music. She's a little bit surprised. Well, she likes some of it, makes a few comments. A few more months go by. Nearly a year goes by. And things get really messy between the catfish and Joe impersonating Jason. This contributes to a lot of emotional confusion, betrayal, and rupturing as Essa begins to question reality but holds the line. Well, eventually, November 2021 rolls around. And Essa, having tried multiple times to reach out to Jace to no avail, which in and of itself was quite rude and evasive, dismissive, and irresponsible on Jace's behalf, considering his reputation was on the line and a woman was being predated on under the guise of his name, which you would think anyone with any kind of credit or honor in them would not want to occur. And so, having been avoided and trying to resolve her problem on her own with no support from any of these men, she decides to go reach out to Jace's brother Ty, who is someone she has not spoken to in many, many years as well. And the only reason why she chooses to reach out to him is because she did know him from the friend group, and she didn't think it would be appropriate to reach out to any of his other family members or friends because she doesn't know them, and she was a person that had respected boundaries. And so Essa reaches out to Ty, and Ty treats her absolutely horribly. I mean, so immature, so ridiculously horribly that it's unbelievable the way that she was treated by this person. In fact, we should probably kind of maybe break that down just a little, because there's something that needs to be said about people who blame a victim for things that are not their fault when someone else is attempting to do something terrible with another person's name. And so you see, what happened here is Essa went to Ty and she said, Ty, I need to ask you something and it's important. He says, what? What even? I hate to do this. First, know that if it weren't necessary, I wouldn't do it. Someone has been talking to me for several months since finding out I was single. This person claims to be Jace. And in addition, they wanted me to go to Houston to see him. Until tonight, I wasn't sure about it. And they brought in someone else who they claimed was Kyle. But I had been speaking with both of them while Jace and I were supposed to be dating. I can show you the proof, but I don't want to do all that if it's not necessary. If you tell me Jace says this isn't true, I will know it's drama and bullshit someone else started on another website to get to me. If not, then tell your brother Essa is in love with him and has been for 12 years. Ty said, all right, I can ask. She said, thanks, Ty. I appreciate it. He says, sure, not who I used to be, apathetic and dumb, but I'll ask for the sake of knowing whether or not it's my brother. Don't like the idea of people pretending to be him. Essa said, I'm not asking you to be sympathetic to me. I know life isn't easy. Ty said, not what I meant. I just know that nobody would want to be faked like this. He said, I'd want someone to ask too. Essa said, I know it's not y'all's style. Ty said, yeah. Essa said, this is not who he is at all, and it's messed up. I love him and all of the things we did too much to come disrupt his peace for some bullshit. I'm a lot of things, but I care about you too. I always have. Ty said, all right, let's reel it in. I'm not included this and never will be. Ha ha, of course, Essa said. Ty said, don't like people claiming anything about me having not been here through any of my shit, whether it's Jace or not. You do you and y'all do y'all. Essa said, I need to know if it is, because if it isn't, then I don't want to engage this person who is obviously a liar. There's only one reason I even asked you, Ty. We both know that asking you won't make him happy, but with the possibility of it being a catfish, I deserve to know. Ty, I do not blame or hold you accountable, nor have anything against you. I'm asking you to assist with the truth, and that is all. Ty said, I said I would. He is either asleep or inaccessible at the moment. I don't intend to bother him at the late hour. I will let you know when and if he messages me back. I said I would. Essa said, of course, I completely understand. Thank you. Ty gave a thumbs up. Then he came back saying, not him. Essa said, okay, thank you. Tell him I wish him well. Months went by, and somebody continued to pretend to be him. So Essa approached again. Are you positive it was not him? I have incredible amounts of evidence of someone pretending to be him, including photos. If it was not him, he needs to be aware that others are doing this to extreme, using his identity. Otherwise, what happened to me over the past 10 months is proof of some really messed up behavior on the behalf of your brother. And I didn't ask for it. I'm saying this now because part of me believes you more after some recent shady things that have arisen, and I feel that he should be aware in the event this person who duped me and his present images are fraudulent. I won't bother you further regarding it. I've been threatened with some serious things over it, or I'd not be telling you anything just from the start. Ty says, are you saying those present images of my brother? That doesn't look like my brother in the slightest. I'm saying that someone else said this, Essa said, and that someone else has been presenting themselves as Jace, Ty. It's really fucked up, the shit that I have endured. I loved Jace for a long ass time, and someone messed with me for all this time, and this is some of the things that they have brought forward. You can see it. I don't know what Jace looks like now. I haven't talked to him that I knew it was him since 2014. Ty said, I still don't even know what you're talking about. Last time I asked him if he talked to you, he said no. I came to you out of the blue months ago and I told you I thought someone was catfishing him as him. I left you alone after that, but they did not stop. Ty said, I don't get on that dumbass place anymore or talk to anyone but like maybe one person from it. I don't want your drama or drama from the site. No one cares about internet drama if someone is pretending to be Jace or not. Essa said, it's gotten really out of hand and bad in the last couple of months. Ty, I left that place years ago and I went back last year at the end of August because I thought about Jace. Ty said, that guy looks nothing like him. Essa said, it's not internet drama. It's on Discord and many other social media applications. It's extensive stalking. Ty said, that doesn't make it any better. Like, I just don't care. Homeboy looks nothing like my brother. He can front on the internet all he wants. Essa said, they talk about you and pretend to be you too. Ty said, cool, I don't care, and laughed at her with an LOL face. And Essa said, glad to hear it. But the point doesn't change that y'all should be aware in case someone else comes forward, because from what I hear, this is also done to Diana, who was someone else that they knew. Just giving a heads up. And Ty said, I don't even know who that is. And Essa said Vivica, which was her name on their group in the chat. And she says Vivica was that's Vivica's real name. Ty said, no idea. In case someone else comes forward, you're the only one who cares and is stirring shit up. Leave us alone. Essa said, I only cared because I was targeted after one of my other friends was, and she didn't go tell y'all. He said, you're a creep. Essa said, if you think about the reality of what I'm saying and stop being reactionary and assumptive, you'll see I'm not trying to cause any strife. I was just letting you know what the hell people did. And Ty said, not being reactionary. I want nothing to do with you or your weird ass drama with your fake internet people, which clearly makes him a very bad person. just from that story. But this horrible situation, as bad as it was, and behaving this way towards someone who was trying to do the right thing and protect themselves as a woman, led to the next aspect. In Act 2, we moved to where Essa has now become into Act 3 because Jace reappeared. And Jace came to say something to Essa within moments of Ty making those statements, those last statements to Essa. And after trying endlessly to reach out over through all of that, um, nothing happened. And it was in November, on the same day that Ty said those terrible, mean things to Essa, that Jace came forward to finally DM her and say, Essa, I'm going to say this once and only once. If you don't hear from me here on this account or on my YouTube channel under my typical name or on Discord via this name, it isn't me. I don't know who has supposedly been impersonating me, and I really don't care to know. I've been taking care of my grandmother and my mother for the last 4 to 5 years now and have enough on my plate without concerning myself with some man-child who wants to pretend to be me. But out of concern for you, as it's apparent Ty's word is not enough, I will tell you now, whoever it is not me. I don't use Facebook or that other site anymore. I've not used Facebook in years aside what you see me post here on this account. I've not seen that website in over a decade. I've not talked to Diana since she and her husband moved to Austin. You can believe me or you can choose not to. That's up to you. But if I were you, someone is coming on to you as if they were me. I'd straighten that out before you progress anywhere with them, and I mean that. I'm sorry for any confusion someone else has caused you in my stead, but I'm telling you this now so that you know whoever it is, they are not in any way affiliated with me, and until they come clean, do not trust them. I pray you and your family be well and keep warm on this safe winter. God bless you. Essa said, thank you so much for letting me know, Jace. I've been trying to reach out to you for months so I could clear this up. I really appreciate you taking the time to send me this message, and I wish you and your family the best, despite how cruel Ty had treated her. Jace said, I don't keep Messenger installed anymore, and Facebook became too politically charged for my patience. I got tired of friends I've known for decades pretending they didn't know me because we didn't agree on everything on Facebook and belittling me in front of their Facebook cliques. I decided it better my relationships be in person or not at all. Essa said, I totally get that. I wasn't trying to be a creeper or freak your brother out. I just wanted to let you know because these people have been really, really stalking me. And they know a lot of details about you and they use that against me and the fact that they knew that I still had feelings for you. So I wanted to ask you because I don't think you would do some of the shit they were doing. Jay said, yeah, since I've logged on, I see I have messages from a few people I don't know addressing my relationship with you. I haven't bothered responding because I don't know who they are or what they're talking about. It's really bad, but I think that I've got it taken care of now, and I'm super sorry that you had to be informed this way, said Essa. Jace said, it's not your fault. I'm sorry I hadn't responded sooner. I've just had my hands full. I appreciate your support on my YouTube and with my music. I'll try to check back, and I will get into mixing some more sometime soon. Essa said, of course. You're really awesome at it. I've shared it with some of my connections. Jace said, if you would be so kind as to form Diana for me, if you still keep in touch, I would appreciate that. If not, it's not a big deal. I hope people recognize me by my fruits, but if not, I don't really consider it a problem. I don't really have anything to my name to lose, and my reputation on the internet is what it is. Essa said, I do have some connections that could get a message to her for you for sure, and I respect you wholeheartedly and always have, Jace, and I will do my part to ensure that everyone knows the truth about this. I promise you that. He said, thank you, Essa. She said, you're welcome. Thank you. And then he has not responded to anything that she has ever said in Messenger since, which was not often. So she did not think anything more of it. But then one day, Jace found her on TikTok. And Jace began looking at her TikTok and interacting with her TikTok. And so Essa was like, what's going on? And so Essa felt compelled by that same intuition that she has, that really strong sense of discernment from her spirituality. And she decided, something told her really, go check out Jace's Facebook profile. And she found a poem. And the poem that Jace wrote on September the 6th, 2023 said, I'll go to that place where bare knuckles grow from the soil in search of life, to the deserts vast and devoid, barren of any hope in sight. Let us venture there beyond the dying light, where hell of nostalgia would bring us to what could have been, what yet might. As I pull my hair from my scalp, graying without a doubt, tell me, mistress, how far may we go? I've ventured drought for seasons, and while I'm sure you certainly your reasons, I'd like to know, from where does your sin grow? Bone of my bone. Now, Essa, again having said that she was quite the poet, after these things had happened, Essa had actually posted a few comments, thinking they were just poetry, onto Jace's YouTube comments, and one was quite telling, and so was the second about her feelings. But from what she had even said to Ty, and directly to Jace himself, they were both with no doubt of how the woman felt about Jace, even then. And so to see some 2 years later that poem really hit Essa's heart, and she wondered, is he talking to me? Well, dismissing it as an adult woman in her mid-30s at this time, Essa thought, no, maybe, we'll see. And she just let it be. Well, he continued to once in a while be this cycle of, he would post. Every once in a while, he would react to a comment if she commented, and only once in a while would she actually comment. And every once in a while, he might say, I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for your support. Or a holiday might roll around and he would wish her and her family a happy Easter. All done in public sphere and comments on YouTube in his community. And Essa began to think, this is all this is. This is just once in a while engagement, and they never added each other to social media. But she thought, I'll test it maybe. And she decided to Snapchat him her number. He saw it, but he never responded, and he certainly never texted or called Essa's number. So she thought, maybe he's really not interested. Maybe it really wasn't to me. Until the week of September 15th, 2025 happened. At this point, on September the 15th, 2025, an image of a man and a woman and a child in a garden with a snake around a tree was posted on Jace's timeline with the questions, what do you see? First thoughts. And so, Essa responded, I see the Holy Spirit. The woman, luminous and guiding, may represent divine principles like wisdom, discernment. I see the Father, the elder, sovereign and steady, anchoring lineage and holding path of authority. I see the Son, the child, flanked and protected, walking forward as the embodiment of promised redemption and fulfillment. I see the serpent at the tree, the ancient adversary. It's witnessed but not centered. The figures don't engage it. They walk past hand in hand, sovereign and sealed by the protection of the divine. And Essa again thought this was just passing, not important, certainly not anything to be considering in grandness. And yet, somehow, Essa has followed Jace's YouTube channel for years now. And some 11 days ago, he posted a video right the day after he had commented on, right the very day after that she had commented on the picture of Eden. And Essa said, "Not always are just the blood that binds," because the name of the song was, "But what does family mean to you?" And so she said, "Not always are just the blood that binds, but the breath that stays, supports, guides, loves, corrects. Not the names of clans or tribes, or even that claims, but the soul that prays, aids, and advises. Family is the echo that doesn't rewrite, the hand that holds without dimming the light, and rears you to grow in wisdom and understanding. It is the branches of trees, roots, leaves, and the base of a trunk so strong its foliage still lasts beyond time's touch, woven into the tapestry of creation and all that is life. It's the ones who show up when silence is loud, who honor your cadence without chasing the crowd. It's chosen in fire, refined in grace, a lineage of spirit, not just a face. It's God in the marrow, the land in the bone, the knowing your place, not left alone. It's ancestral rhythm, divine choreography, a soil that remembers, the breath that's free. Family is clarity, not proximity's claim. It's the ones who protect without asking your name. It's the archive sealed, the transmission sent, a legacy lived, not merely lent. And of course, Jace liked that, which is a beautiful segment of Essa's divine poetic talents, of course. But nevertheless, the poem as it was, again, Essa thought nothing more of it. Can't be anything more than that. Until the next song that Jace decided to post 2 days was called "We Planted Trees Here Once." And again, Essa responded, "Never shall they fade, the parable of the trees." And biblical scripture was written. Now, when they told Jotham, he went and stood on top of Mount Gerizim and lifted his voice and cried out. And he said to them, "Listen to me, you men of Shechem, that God may listen to you." The trees went forth to anoint a king over them, and they said to the olive tree, "Reign over us." But the olive tree said to them, "Why should I cease giving my oil with which they honor God and men, to go sway over trees?" Then the trees said to the fig tree, "You come and reign over us." But the fig tree said to them, "Should I cease my sweetness and my good fruit, and go to sway over trees?" Then the tree said to the vine, "You come and reign over us." But the vine said to them, "Should I cease my new wine, which cheers both God and men, and go to sway over trees?" Then all the trees said to the bramble, "You come and reign over us." And the bramble said to the trees, "If in truth you anoint me as king over you, then come and take shelter in my shade. But if not, let the fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon." Well, he liked that too. And so here Essa was like, "Is he speaking to me? I just discussed trees. He makes a song and says, 'We planted trees here once.'" And this is important because going back to that group that they were both in, trees were quite significant, especially a grand oak and a great weeping willow. And indeed, the two of them had created these trees. They had planted them once. And so she wondered, is this codified language? Is this man speaking to me through this song? And so she responded as she did, and then the very next day, Jace posted another song. Jace posted another song called "A Little Season for Little Flower." And Essa said, "For a gentle season that bloom debuted, and amidst quiet grace it softly blossomed beneath tender hands of loving care, bringing joy and gladness to all who came to peer. As for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field. The wind blows over it, and it is gone, and its place remembers it no more." Psalm 103:15 and 16. And of course, Jace heart reacted to that. Well, the next 5 days, Jace did not post anything, and finally he did post another song, which was posted on October the 9th, or October the 8th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it was called At the Scent of Water It Will Bud. And Essa responded in comments, and the Creator said, At the scent of water the root shall awaken, and the bloom shall not delay. For what was buried shall rise, and what was silent shall sing. The woman inscribed in lineage shall be known by her cadence, and her reply shall be sealed in legacy. I have heard the sound of his coming, not in flesh, but in frequency, not in proximity, but in prophecy. He summons and I bloom, he names and I rise. He inscribes and I reply, submission and duty, and God knows why. Job 14:9. Yet at the sin of the water it will bud and put forth shoots like a plant. Quite beautiful. And inspired, Essa created yet another piece of poetic literature that was quite lovely. And she did not see one thing that made her quite fraught in the last day before she posted to his YouTube community a copy of her poem with the statement, "You still inspire me. Thank you for that." And a sparkle emoji with the image of her poem that said, So long ago you evoked something in me. I remember it so deep, so fondly. Though only in pixels and the sound of a soft whimper, a voice through a phone who could cause such a quiver. A line in poetry so deep and so true, something coded in secrecy, something uniquely me and uniquely you. Tantalizing thoughts of possibility never made tangible in direct reality. Nostalgia's sweet reminder of all the things we've wondered if we could find here. The flick of a taste of divine frequency, and somehow without direct words it sings so teasingly. From knees to the risen skies, from the birth of a seed through soil once barren, and the plausible garden that could surely grow when the water meets a soft and resilient sprout, rooting through and surviving the drought. A kiss of what has yet to come when finally it will meet the sun. Quite the beautiful piece that Essa poured her heart and soul in to go and present to Jace in a public sphere, only to discover that Jace had ordered the 3 songs into an album titled It Sprang Up Overnight and It Died Overnight, and has not posted a single song since. And so you see there's quite a bit of sadness to this many layered gothic, romantic, modern fairy tale. The playlist, the poems, Bone of My Bone, Essa posting in obedient submission, Jace sequencing silence, and a vault begins to form. So with Act 4, other friends came forward because as time had passed, Essa needed some support. And she invented to Maya, who was still friends with Jace and Essa to that very day. Nearly 20 years of time having been passing their way. Maya sees all the things that has been going on. And at first she's quite excited, just like Essa was. But then, when they see the title of the album, Maya and Essa's daughter name manipulation. Then Essa asks her mentor, filter through your children's eyes and see what they have to say. And it seems like this quietness, this retraction, this severance, if you will, has really caused a lean back. There are so many things to consider. Could it be that this lyrical, scriptural pattern of theatrical performance is actually being done because of a realization so profound that this man has become intimidated by what he has uncovered covered? Perhaps. It is possible that Jace and Essa might still create that beautiful redemption arc romance. However, on the other side is the realization that those things typically only happen in fairy tales and books. And there's a very probable, likely situation that this might be a toxic or even maybe narcissistic masquerade, in which case Jace would be proven not to be godly, but avoidant, patriarchal, and emotionally evasive. It would be meaning that scripture was used for stimulation of a confession that could not be made in direct vocal presentation. And so Essa would have to lean back and look at the realities around Jace's life. Never married, wanted a family and to be a father, but yet never stood up to rise to the chance with intended, committed honor. And so you see, this began in 2008, and here we are 18 years later. Essa's now presented with a situation where, does this man love her? Is this man living a thrill of metrophiliac masochistic pain that's coming through a digital vein at her expense? And so the cycle that has been for the last 4 years now has needed to finalize. And so when 2026 comes, Essa needs to refuse to carry Jace into her 42nd year. The spell of all that was needs to be shattered, and any pedestal for this altar burned, and the archive of this book needs to be sealed away, because the vault in the mirror and a narcissist masquerade, they fail to hold up when you look at the depth of what is said. Job in 10 is about Job's lamentations, about a gourd that grew up overnight to serve as housing for him and was immediately consumed by a worm the next day, and how Job was so distraught over the withering of the gourd that he lost sight of the fact that the city of Nineveh was about to be sacked. And God was worried about Nineveh. And so Nineveh needed to be more important than the gourd, because the Father, the Creator, knew that even though the gourd had shriveled up, the root was still alive, and at the scent of the water it would revive. So with a daughter's mirror held up, truth is revealed. Shall the severance happen? Was it all just a lie? Could 20 years have passed by, leaving Jace to wonder why? Is the pedestal now gone? Is Essa free of her box? Whatever happens next, Essa will be clear. There will be no more decoding, no more pedestal to fear. Essa walks forward, sealed sovereign, unburdened, and divine, following after the truth and spirituality in kind.